Your source for everything paranormal. Para X. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Merry meet and hail to all. Heed the words I now shall call. Live you must, and let to live. Fairly take, and fairly give. Do what thou will, if it harms none. By the magic of old, may it be done. Greet the days and greet the night, with joy and thanks for all delights. 9 woods in the cauldron go, as above, so below. Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron on the Para X Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Hey, Merry meet everybody. I'm welcome to Para X and to the show, and I'm cracking myself up because I didn't write down the name of that opening song tonight. So it's like, oh, you should have done that. I had a whole week to do it. Not important. What's important is that we've got a really good show tonight. And we've got Maureen Wood, who is a 5th-generation psychic trance medium, who says she's always been able to communicate with spirits since she was a child. And it wasn't until she was a teenager that her mother revealed that the women in her family were born with the ability to heal, to stop bleeding, and to conduct psychic readings for people. And tonight she's here to talk about mediumship, but she's also going to give some readings. So if you would like a reading from Maureen or just have a question about mediumship, please send me a private message in the Para X chat room. And there's plenty of time for you to join us if you're not here. Just come over to www.para-x.com and click on the chat. So Maureen, hi. It's been 100 years since you've been here.
Hey, how you doing? And it does feel like that. It wasn't that long ago, but it does feel like it.
Well, you know, on your own, and I mean, whatever. Yeah, I mean, you were here with Ron, but, you know, this is like you.
Oh, on my own. True.
Yeah,
True.
Yeah, you're on your own. So that kind of makes a good difference. And, you know, I think there's so much we're going to cover. So, like I said, if anybody in chat wants a reading, find me in, find me, my microphone just went weird. Find me in private chat, and we'll get it out to her. And we've got to talk a little bit about, Maureen, about you and, well, I mean, you and I met many years ago through Ron Kolick.
Yep.
And while I think I might have known the story of how you became involved in ghost hunting, and especially with the New England Ghost Project, I think my brain needs a refresher course.
Oh, okay. So, God, that was, you know, it's funny. For the longest time, I'd say, it's about 13, 14 years. That was about 4 years ago. So maybe my brain just doesn't want to age longer, you know, even more. But no, I'd say it's about 16 years at least, 16 or 17 years that I really met Ron. And, you know, it's funny. As you said, you know, when I was younger, I had been like a medium for seances and training, you might say, for 3 years. When I started, I was about 16. And then, years went by, had a family, and then I kept saying, I was doing readings for people, I was doing healings, and, I just felt like I needed to do more. And I kind of put it out there. I'm a big person, a big believer in manifesting and getting help from the universe. So I put it out there and said, listen, if I'm supposed to be doing something and serving a different purpose, please let me know. And honestly, I hadn't gone to this one shop, let's say in, an art store in about, that's an art, I'm trying to say art store. And probably, I don't know, it had been like 10 years at that time. And I went in there and, saw the gentleman who owned it. And, we had a chat. And then it's funny because he all of a sudden said, oh, geez, I don't know why, but there's a newspaper that I have here and it's behind the counter. And, that what they did is they would leave newspapers out and pile free ones, to take when you go in there. And he's like, this is my last one. And I really have this feeling you need it. And my husband's looking at me chuckling because I'm not a big, I kind of don't read newspapers very often. And all the negativity. So anyway, he handed it to me and I was graceful. I was like, oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And for some reason, I just, paged through it and I just started chuckling because at the end of what I had found, the last page, there was an article written by Ron Kolek. And he had written all about the New England Ghost Project. He'd been writing stories of their investigations every month. And, he put all his contact information. I sent him an email. And within maybe a week or so, he called me right back. I must have said something he liked. He called me back. And, and Ron, he might have been in a good mood, I guess, that day.
Really? Does he have good moods? Okay. Just sorry. Had to say that. Keep
that's
going.
Okay. So he was so funny because it was close to Halloween, so that could have been part of it, too. So he actually invited me. First of all, he invited me over the phone to go out to an island to investigate, right? So he's calling me on the phone, and I swear I must have been loopy because he said, we're going out on this island. We're going to be dropped off, off the coast, off from Boston. And, it's cold out, I know. It's going to be the last boat that goes out to the island, and there's no bathrooms. And you're going to be there all night. We actually have to go in the woods. And I'm like sitting to myself, like thinking, okay, whatever, And I said, okay, I'll go. He's like, what? You'll go? He must have been testing me, right? So I said, yeah. Well, then he called me a couple days later and he's like, well, that fell through. But we have a 4-part special that we're going to be doing with, one of, I think it was at the time, WNDS news station. He's like, well, but before that, let's go out to dinner. And he picked a restaurant. And so he picked the haunted restaurant in Methuen. And we went to dinner. And he was so funny. He literally tested me all night. Hey, don't you have to go to the bathroom? Because don't you have to go do this? And hey, what's going on? And as it was, I picked up on a spirit woman that was in the bathroom and gave him that info. He was thrilled. And then the next thing you know, he invited me to go to the Wyndham restaurant and did an investigation for the first night of the 4-part series. And he asked me that night to join the team. And it was constant ever since.
Wow. And that's amazing because I think it's probably hard to get through to Ron to like people sometimes. And so.
No, really?
He's going to listen to this and I can just hear it. I mean, my ears are burning already because.
I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, it wouldn't be any fun otherwise.
And you got to give it back to him. You know that, Marla, right? Like you chuckle with Ron, and it's funny. He's got this big, tough guy exterior, but he's, people, he'd probably kill me for saying this, but he's got a big heart of gold and he's mushy inside, So
I know that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's, I got to know Ron, right? I got to know the real Ron. At first, I kept thinking, man, is this guy for real? You'd investigate with him, and one night it'd be like good, and the next night I was like, are you out of your mind? Like, what is wrong with you? And then I got to know real Ron. I mean, there was a couple times, obviously, you have your little spats, but we've, we go out and we do talks, and everybody's like, you guys married? I'm like, oh my God, no. Like St. Jean, his wife, I love her to pieces,
Yes.
Thank God for her. She keeps Ron balanced. But anyway.
She needs a Purple Heart, but that's all right. We'll get her one.
She does.
Somewhere down the line, we'll get her one. Now, I want to, I was reading, actually, that you said that you help the living by validating ghostly encounters and assist restless spirits and find peace by giving them a chance to release whatever they're holding on to. and by letting go of the denser energy or the anger or whatever they've got. But I'm going to add one more thing to the mix, because I think you also help the living by connecting them with their friends and loved ones on the other side. And that's a major comfort to many.
Thank you. Yes, and that is, but I would say with the New England Ghost Project, let's say, obviously doing readings when you read for people, sometimes it shouldn't be sometimes, but most often than not, it's much different, right, than being out at a haunted location.
Yeah.
So reading for someone, I do feel, I feel really good about, helping others and, helping to serve and helping them heal. That to me is the big thing. Because, you have self-doubt, right? And you question yourself. Like,
sure.
Everybody does that. But just recently, I actually had created a new website. I haven't had a website in years, right?
Wow.
So I created it. And, just if you don't mind me telling you what it is.
No, please. I was going to ask you anyway down the line. So go for it.
Yeah, it's just Maureen-wood.com. So I did put a couple of testimonies out there, and I just, it felt really nice. And, not that I needed the validation, but, sometimes it's like, hey, if there's anybody out there that has something that they'd like to share, from having readings with me. And, honestly, I was really happy with the feedback I got, and I was actually in tears on some of them. So I thought, well, geez, that's nice. Now it makes me really understand why I'm doing it, right?
Yeah, and we need that. The validation has to be there at some point. So
right.
That's really a good thing. Now, I want to give a bit of a backstory about you, too, because people are always curious about mediums and how they find their paths. And, you say that you just always never think it was anything really extraordinary while you were growing up. And your mother didn't want you to feel like you were any different. So she just told you were normal and then would hand you a bottle of holy water, right?
Yes, she did.
I love that.
Well, my poor mother, God bless her soul, she was always terrified, I guess. She didn't really so much encourage it. So, today you have kids and their parents who, a lot of times the parents encourage it, which is, it's good and it's a balance, right?
Right.
But at the time, that was a few years ago, my mother knew enough about it to not make me feel like there was something wrong with me, right? She knew enough to say that I was normal in a paranormal way, I guess. Normal. So she just did the only thing she could, and she gave me, holy water. But I will say to her, you laugh, and I don't really get into these stories, but I would, when I was a kid, I would surround myself with stuffed animals, right? Like those would help. But I would feel safe, right? And so one day I come home and there's this huge cross, like Ron says, the big ass cross. I had this big ass cross over the head of my bed, like nailed to the wall. And she was so proud of herself because she put a cross up there for me, right? But she nearly choked the next day when she came into my room and it was upside down.
Yeah, I would have done a quick turnaround and gotten out of it quick. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what are you doing? Did you do? And I did not do that. I woke up and it was upside down. And I honestly think that is just kind of like that comic joke, especially for those maybe who are past who are not religious. Mm-hmm. And decide we're going to just mess with them, right? We're going to turn this around. Just like when you investigate today with the team and, you have the temperature sensors, right? And what do? They put the temperature at 666, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, I know what you're doing,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's funny. You got to keep it light, I think, too.
Well, you do. And then, okay, so here all of a sudden then you find yourself like 15 years old, just at that curious stage that we all go through, the rebellious stage and everything. And you said that your abilities were in overdrive. And fortunately, you met a friend of your mom or somebody contacted a neighbor. Yeah. Yeah, tell us about Carol.
Yeah, Carol. Okay, so actually, it was interesting. I always believe things happen. A lot of things happen for a reason, or we're like chess pieces, right? That we meet the person we're meant to meet when the timing's right.
Right.
Or we need them the most. And I probably was actually younger than that. I might have been about 13 or 14, and I remember going, on a road trip with my family, and my mother went to pay bills at this mill, and I just happened to have what I refer to as daymares. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where everything changes. And honestly, I was in the car full of a bunch of girls, my sisters at the time, and my mother had left the car, and everything changed. Like, I couldn't hear anything anymore. It wasn't day anymore. It was in the middle of the night, and the mill that was in front of us was burning to the ground. And there was people running to put the fire out and all this stuff. So, I was a little freaked out, to say the least. My mother slammed the door, and all of a sudden I snapped back into reality, I guess. So I came home, and I had a very close childhood friend that, I confided in. And so I called him up and told him what happened. And it just so happened that his mother lived right next to this woman, Carol, who was training with Lori Cabot of Salem. Mm-hmm. So she basically, said, well, we need to to see what's going on. So she invited me over, and she tested me and my abilities at the time. And that's when she decided, dear godchild, you need help. She's like, I need to take you under my wing here. I really need to help you so you know how to control this and how to, protect yourself and know what you're doing a little bit more than it's just happenstance. So that kind of began like my training with her, and I trained for years. In fact, after a couple of months, I think maybe 6 months or so of training with her, we actually started doing the seances and adult seances and having people kind of come through every weekend. We had seances going. So it was trial by fire, let's say.
That's how it usually works. Whether we want to step in the flames or not, it ends up that we're right in the middle of it, right in the middle
yes,
of it. Yes, nothing you can do about it but run with it, which is very cool, because it just needs to be that way. Now, there are going to be people asking for a reading tonight that will want to connect with certain loved ones on the other side. Now, sometimes that happens. Sometimes there might be someone else who wants to speak over them, and more importantly, kind of elbow everybody out of the way. Isn't that kind of how it works?
Yes, it is. You're very perceptive. So it's not, if they have someone that they would like to speak with, obviously we can try. Mm-hmm. But again, it's obviously the readings we're going to do is try to do as many as we can. Sure. So sometimes it can be dicey, right? And you can't guarantee it's a two-way phone call. So you can't guarantee who's going to pop in, who's going to, maybe someone is going to come in that's going to need to have attention. I've had it happen to me. I went somewhere, I wanted my dad to come through, and it was my father-in-law instead. And I'm like, no. But I have a message for your husband. No. Well, I just paid the $60. I want to have my father,
Uh-huh. Well, and the other thing, too, is there may be people not asking for a reading tonight, but we will get a message that doesn't seem to match anybody else that we're talking to necessarily. So it could very well be that somebody in the chat room is going to get a reading whether they wanted to or not.
Exactly.
A message. So, see, that's the beauty of it all. I really love the way this works, because there are people that are afraid to say anything or don't want to say anything, but then they get a message anyway. So it is really very cool. So we are going to got a couple of them, and one of them is from Bruce, and he would like to get in touch with his grandfather if possible.
All right. Let's see. Okay, well, interesting, but I have a tall gentleman that's coming through. I don't know if it's related to him, but I see somebody that's either they're big with cigars or they're smoking like a pipe even, not even just a cigar. So Let me see here. All right, so, I'm not sure if this has to... Now, what was that person's name? Bruce?
Bruce,
Bruce, okay. So I'm actually getting something where this fear involved. I don't know if at first, like, he knew he was going to pass and there was some fear surrounding his passing that's coming through. But now he's trying to say that whoever this person is, again, I can't guarantee it's for Bruce, but I'm feeling that there is someone saying that, it's the pain is not there anymore, which is a blessing. Does Bruce, because is he on the chat room? Can I see it? Or is he? Okay.
Yeah, he is. You're going to be looking at, where is he? B-Tango.
Okay,
Down
so I'm just
towards the bottom.
refreshing it again over here. Okay. So I'm actually seeing like a couple grandkids that he's looking at. So I'm hoping that it is Bruce, that I'm seeing a young man, and actually, let's see, B-Tango, you said, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So is Bruce responding? Because I'm not seeing it on my end. I don't know why.
Not yet.
Okay.
And it's also that 30-second delay, too, so.
Oh, that's true with the internet. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, interesting, there is actually, it's funny, Marla, you must have called a couple people in. So I'm actually getting a woman with the name of M, and I'm seeing someone, she passed of breast cancer. So I want to say it's more a mother than it is like a sister or something. So someone's mom is here.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. I'm over here, even writing on here. So are they losing us on? Someone says the sound is gone and again, drat.
It's not, I think if they're not on Google Chrome because, I don't know. Most everybody's not having that problem, just a couple.
Just a couple people? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is there someone, while we're waiting to see back, to see if, any of that is feeling correct or feeling right to
Bruce, like the cigar
Bruce, yeah.
or the pipe?
There's pipe smoke, because he could probably come through, sometimes from that, that sense of smell that you get sometimes when a spirit has come by or come through.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is I'm getting a lot of, he loved to dance or he loved that music. So I want to say it's I hear like band music, if that makes sense. I know I'm not really good at explaining that, but like a big band.
Mm-hmm. Well, that would depict an era. So, Bruce, if any of that is making sense.
Or if it makes sense to someone else on this chat room.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, is there someone that wants, what I can do too is also pull a couple cards and see if we get something for someone. Is there someone that wants to have a quick few cards pulled?
Yeah, speak up, guys.
Yeah, speak up. Come on.
Get a hold of me. In the meantime, okay, now Firefox is great. They're saying, let's jump over to Patty, because there is somebody that she would like to hear from. It's Frank, but she said she'd be happy to hear from anyone who wants to talk to her.
Okay, let's see. Now, I'm getting someone like for her as a grandmother kind of figure or a motherly figure. But what's interesting is it's more what they're telling me for her, that she's in the process of making a decision about something. And they said that she knows her answer, but she wants to ask someone else about it, and that she needs to trust herself. So she needs to really have faith in her. And I guess, I'm not sure, Patty, can you tell me if you've been told before from, someone told me that your confidence lacks sometimes. And I'm not trying to be rude, but that's what's coming through right now.
Okay, I'm watching the messages I get back.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see with all these people.
I know. It gets kind of confusing, especially when we're on overload right now, which is very good. It's never a bad thing to be on overload in the chat room. So we'll wait to hear back.
Okay, true. Bruce. So, okay, I see that on Patty.
There you go.
Okay, is there a decision that you're going through right now, Patty? Yeah, there is a delay, huh?
Yep. We could sing a little bit, but I think we'd lose half the chat room. Maybe.
Oh, you could sing. I will listen to it.
Listen, I've got this frog in my throat. Now I sound like I'm croaking. That's all I need to do is try to sing. Like the cat would jump on my head and kill me. So.
Okay, Patty. Another thing for you is to not let things get you down, all right, for sorrow, because I feel like sometimes you have a tendency to take things in and shove them down so that you put that smiley face on. And what they're saying is, okay. But they're saying, I'm getting from this person is that trust your judgment, okay, and you got to let it out too. You can't just suck it all in. You tend to be very quiet. And be too kind sometimes, and you don't know how to say no. Mm-hmm. So, and I have to apologize because sometimes I will get info and it just comes out, and I don't even, and I'm just trying to be kind and not say nasty stuff, but it's not nasty. It's just basically, you're a good person, and they want you to stand in your own truth.
No, we get that.
Okay, all right.
We're not worried. And Patty said there are a couple of decisions, and one is for volunteer work.
Okay. So if you have a couple of decisions, is it whether or not you should do the volunteer work? Because it's taking your time and you're volunteering. But it's going to be a labor of love if you do that. So that's one thing I'm picking up. It's like a new beginning, and emotionally it's who you're about. It's what you want to do is help to give and to serve. So I would say if it's in your heart and you can do that, you have the ability to volunteer, that would actually give you a really big sense of purpose, and I think you know that already.
I think she does too.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go to a break in about 4 minutes, so I'll give you one more. Dave wants to know if his best buddy has any message for him.
Okay. Okay. The best buddy. Let's see. Can you give me a name? Because I'm having a few people that I'm picking up on. So is there a name that you have? Does Dave?
He will once he hears us. So we will wait patiently and get a name. But we've got a few of them lined up, so this is good.
Okay, so.
Okie dokie. Sometimes, forgive us, but sometimes it takes stuff with this delay. It takes sometimes to
That's okay.
Take a little time.
I'm seeing that my chat just disconnected, so maybe it's just going to refresh. Okay, so.
Okay, his name was.
You can't swear, can you?
You could, yeah. We're not FCC. His name was Fred, by the way.
Oh, his name was Fred. Okay. All right. So, all I'm really hearing from Fred, and I don't know if it's from Fred or someone that you're trying to be funny, but I'm hearing to get off your ass and get something done, that you tend to procrastinate lately, and life's too short, buddy. And that's why I asked if it was okay to say that, because I'm just like, oh, okay. Not sure. And this guy seems like he's a very deep guy, but funny. He's the kind of guy who's just very, jovial. And, I don't think his passing to me feels quick for some reason. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Then Dave, get off your butt. What can I tell you? Let me see. I'm getting all mixed up here. I got so many things going on. Everything I'm clicking is going weird. It must be technology. It's just really wonderful.
It's just at its finest. I usually work with it every day. I've had a break, thankfully, for a while.
See, we'll get you right back in saddle.
I know.
Now, Kat was asking if you do any communication with animal souls.
I have in the past. I will say that the clients that I have, those are not my, my large amount of clients, mm-hmm. but I have in the past. So, and I've had it, just during investigations even, that I've had spirits of a dog. I could hear them barking and going around my legs, and I could feel their emotions. And basically, Ron was thinking I was crazy until he was able to listen to an EVP later and heard barking when there was no barking to be heard. if that makes sense.
Yep.
So is there, I don't have any pets coming through at the time, but that's not to say that I believe fully that our pets are around us and are with us.
Okay, well, in the next half hour, if anybody comes through, she's looking to talk to her spider, Spyder. Not the 8-legged kind, just the furry one, the 4-legged furry one.
Oh, so. Phew! I was going to say, oh my goodness, I'm not a spider lover, but but the name spider I can handle.
People that don't like spiders, all you have to do is say the word and they freeze up. I noticed this, and it amuses me a little bit. Sorry, but it does. Okay. I can't help it.
It's my phobia. It really is. Hey, when I was a kid, I had a spider go in my ear. One of those big black, like furry ones, and I went a little crazy trying to get it out of my ear. And then I went and watched a scary story where it laid eggs in someone's head. So yeah, I have spider phobia.
Oh well, no, for really good reason. I mean, that's just like about as creepy as you can get. I don't like bugs in the ears or them flying around or anything. And anyway, that's a whole nother story about the fly that went into my mouth when I was asleep, and it was horrible. The worst. Yuck. I woke up with the worst taste in my mouth than you can even imagine, and I had no clue what it was. And then I figured it out the next day, and then I went on the internet to see if I could get poisoned by a fly or something. Because it was just like that. I mean, it was gross.
That's just nasty.
All right. Well, I think if we can, Sarge, why don't we go to break? Because I think there's like 3 readings coming up. So after the break, can we do it?
Right.
Yeah.
Stirring the Cauldron will be right back, so don't go away. If you end up with webbed feet, remember, you've been warned.
I'm Jenna Valadez with the Basement Files. Tune in Friday nights, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Para X Radio Network.
It is the secret of the world that all things subsist and do not die, but only retire a little from sight and afterwards return again. Nothing is dead. People find themselves dead and endure the mock funerals and mournful obituaries. And there they stand, looking out the window, sound and well, in some new and strange disguise. This secret must be told to the world, and they must tell it. Because they're not dead, we know this, and we'll prove it. So join Mike and Dave every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central for the Odyssey Files. Only on Parax.
From Haunted Road Media comes an exciting new novel by author Marla Brooks. Soul Connection, a deadly obsession. 2 lost souls, ripped apart by murder in another century, find each other again in the present, only to discover that the murderer has followed them through time. Can their love save them, or will history repeat itself? Find out in this captivating new novel by Marla Brooks, Soul Connection, a deadly obsession. Available now on Amazon.com and at BarnesandNoble.com. Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
What a dramatic way to come back in. That was kind of good music. I like it.
Cool.
All right, for those of you who came in a little bit late, I'm here with Maureen Wood, and we're talking about mediumship, and she's doing readings, and we've got a whole bunch of people asking for them. So let me just jump right in with both feet. You had like 2 minutes to clear your head, right?
Yeah.
No pressure here. No pressure at all. All right. Swampy wants to know how his wife is doing on the other side.
Okay. Well, she's actually doing very well, and she's showing me. There's someone that worked with their hands a lot and actually did a lot of creating, and it wasn't just like crafty stuff, but she just loved to do anything that she could. She was a very smart person, and it's interesting you say that because I feel like she's still doing all this and she's learning, and she just loves to. She wants you to know she's doing great, and she's actually watching out for the kids. she's just doing a lot on the other side. You know, I often see that so many of our loved ones who pass are doing things they love, you know, so whether they're tending to beautiful gardens or, you know, sewing or doing something beautiful or with their, I hate to say time because their time is so different than what we perceive it as. But yeah, so I can say she is doing great. And she's no longer in pain anymore, and she wants you to know that for sure.
Oh, that's great. Good news. Absolutely. All right. Sorry, you guys.
And there's an Iris or Irene that I'm getting from someone. And what's interesting is I'm seeing her more the way she wants to show me when she was back. Like it was, I don't think she died at that time, but that was her favorite time. She always was dressed to the hilt, like in the 50s. So I see her in the 50s dressed up really well, and she's showing me this very pink, beautiful skirt and top, and her hair a certain way. But for her, I think she died probably in her like 70s. So I don't know if this is specific to someone. It's got to be someone that's out in the chat room or, you know, has stopped in. But I feel that someone's come through that way. As you said, they just pop in. So
yeah, and if this matches anybody, you know, when you hear it, just give us a note in chat and let us know that was somebody that you knew or whatever. Okay, we've got Tina, yeah, Miami Tina. And she would love to hear from her younger brother, Tom.
Okay. So I'm wondering if Tom died quickly in a car accident or a motorcycle accident is what it feels like. So it's something that feels like it was pretty fast and pretty quick. And, you know, a lot of times they're trying to see. So he's showing me that, you know, he's doing well. He does watch over each of them, but I'm seeing him. It's interesting. My hands, I keep like snapping my fingers, like almost I'm rubbing coins together. So sometimes that means to me he was, you know, is trying to help out with someone to actually get funds that they're trying to get money, or he's watching out and trying to help them, you know, in a financial situation to figure things out. But that's really what it feels like.
Okay, she said that he didn't die quick, but, well, no, not quick, but not unexpected. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Not quick, but unexpected.
Well, it says, but not
unexpected.
unexpected. Yeah.
Okay.
But
okay, I wonder if I'm getting someone else in.
You never know. It's always, I was going to say crapshoot, but you never know because they take over, really. When they want to be heard, they kind of get you. Wow.
Oh, they've dropped 3 times this hour. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on because some people haven't dropped it all. Well, all right. Well, but for everybody that's listening in the chat right now, the podcast will be up tomorrow. The podcast doesn't drop. So if you asked for a reading and you didn't hear it or something, go to my Facebook page tomorrow, go to my website tomorrow, and you can hear the whole show. Just so you know. All right. Got another request from Dale. Sorry, and he wants anyone who wants to speak to him is fine.
Okay. Let me see. Is someone coming through for Dale? So I'd like to ask, you know, again, I just want to put it out there too, that anybody who's on our chat room, if there's someone that wants to come through to speak with someone, that to come through. So let's see. I actually have a gentleman with me, you know, so I don't know if it's actually Dale, if it's his father or grandfather, but I do get it's a fatherly figure. And something about playing cards. So I would ask Dale if this person, you know, if his grandfather was passed or father, if they were big on playing cards all the time. Because I'm actually getting someone that was something that was really important to them, that they really enjoyed that, and they will love to actually go out there and play the slots too. I mean, that's something that they really wanted to do. They love to gamble, I guess. I would ask too if there's anyone that has, maybe Dale, if there's a question specifically that he would like answered from someone.
Okay.
So I don't know if they should be able to hear me, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully, because I'm checking to see who's still at least listed in the chat room, that haven't gone and tried to refresh or anything. So
Right. Okay.
yeah, it's hard when internet things happen, and the storms back east are not doing such a good thing for everybody. So that could be part of it, because CC in chat said, she's on the West Coast like I am, and there's no problem. So could be a thing.
Okay, something about Dale. You getting any changes in your job? You getting something additional duties? There's something that's coming up for you in a change. So I feel like there's a change coming for you that they want you to be ready for, and it's nothing bad. It's just something that you're going to be doing. I think you're going to get a little bit more income or more. I hate to say notoriety, but more being looked at closer.
Recognition.
Thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
I'm usually on the other end of this. I'm like, I can't think of that word. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm having one of those senior moments, I guess.
Yeah, we are, All right. Okay, so Tazwiz in chat would like to know what her stepfather is doing on the other side, if we can.
If we can. All right. Let's just, I'm going to pull a quick card because I have a feeling there's something about it. So.
Okay, cool.
Well, is he working on patience? I really feel that, he was a great guy, but he'd tend to have a hard time controlling his temper sometimes. He'd get mad at himself. He was more tough on himself, I think, than anybody else could be, because he always wanted to do the best. And so one of his things that he's doing, and he's laughing, is it's actually he's been working really good to try to work on that. And I know this sounds funny when you talk about you're on the other side. What do you need to do that? But I think a lot of it is actually learning, right? We're learning, we're focusing and getting better all the time.
Yeah, kind of like self-help. And I think that if we do it there, we'll have less to do when we come back the next time.
Exactly. Don't say that to Ron, though. Ron doesn't believe.
I know.
But I actually
sorry one of these days. Yeah, he'll find out.
Yes, he will. I actually heard on one of a show I was looking at this morning, and the person was talking about how even Christianity, they were actually talking about, they believed in reincarnation. So, and back until the 1500s when they changed it. So I have to hit him up with that the next time I talk to him.
Don't forget. Very important. Very important. I think we have a break about readings, but I want to pick your brain about a couple of things in the meantime. Because lots of people have mentioned to me that they never feel certain loved ones around them. With me, personally, I do far better with friends on the other side than immediate family. I mean, I've had things like a good friend who passed, literally tickled my knee the night he passed. I mean, in spirit. And then another one who actually came to me as in an astral visit. Some people say it's a dream, but there's a slight difference when they're really there. And he just popped in and gave me a hug and popped out. That was the night of his funeral. So that I've seen. I don't see and hear from parents or grandparents, and a lot of people don't either. So that's not to say that they don't come around, but they just maybe some of them don't do it overtly, right? So
yeah.
Are we missing signs that they're trying to show us and we're too blind to see, or do some prefer just to always stay on the sidelines?
Well, I honestly believe that there are those that feel more comfortable with showing up, and a lot of times I think it's because when they're really close to you, they don't necessarily want to maybe scare you, right? I know for me, my mother, I have dreamt of her. I have had, she's, I finally realized when she was coming through. Now, I've talked to other people's loved ones and their family members, but I could never hear her. And I finally realized she comes through and it sounds like Charlie Brown's there. And
That.
exactly, perfect. And I thought, what is going on? And the only reason I finally realized that was twofold. One, I had a ring my husband had given me, and I was feeling kind of weepy one night, and I said, geez, I wish Mom, and now I had been hearing this, and I thought I was losing my hearing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, oh, I really wish Mom could see this. And he goes, oh, she is. And all of a sudden he went, I'm like, are you kidding me? Right? Like, seriously, Mom? And so for her, and it's in my new book, actually, The More Goes Chronicles, the story, because she was afraid of this. So I think for her, she's afraid for me. And that's what she used to say all the time, Maureen, I'm so afraid for you. So I think she's so, like, hesitant, right, to kind of cause me any pain or grief, and she's not quite sure how she'll be perceived. But, I even went one time for a reading because I was invited to a party, and the woman was like, hey, soul sister. And she sat there and she said, well, wait a minute, is this your grandmother or your mother that said you can't hear her? You say, you hear everyone else, but you can't hear her because she sounds like, very different sound. And I'm laughing. I'm like, well, it's a 2-part phone call, honey. Love you, Mom.
It is. And, and I know that there's some that are shy and some that might feel guilty because they might have wronged their kid or something, that they don't want to show up because they're kind of ashamed in a way. I mean, there's probably tons and tons of reasons, but I also think that sometimes we ignore these things. Now, if you got, let's say, an apport of a bottle of holy water on your desk when you came into a room, you would, that's very obvious. You would know where that came from. But they're a lot more subtle, I think, than we'd like them to be.
Well, you could be getting signs. You could be getting those signs. You could be getting coins. You could be getting numbers even. I often see license plates, or, I'll see, numbers, 444 or whatever the number combinations may be, what they mean to me and to a lot of people from, understanding what I hate to say codes, but it's codes, right? But interestingly enough, I went and did a readings, like a party one night, and I wasn't feeling that good. I was feeling like I was coming down with something, and I kept saying, oh, please let me know you're with me so that I can actually do this readings for these women, because I felt really bad. We had scheduled way ahead of time. I didn't want to cancel, and all of a sudden I felt, and this car literally pulled out from behind me, and I said, so what do I need to do? And the car pulls out in front of me, and the license plate said, gotta let go.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, now, you can say coincidence, right? Some people are like, oh, that's a coincidence. Now, really, sometimes people say it's a coincidence, and that's almost too crazy to even consider. There's only so many things that can be pushed off as coincidence.
Exactly. And some things, they hit you in the forehead, and they're absolutely unbelievable when they do. And especially if it happens to two people simultaneously, and they both hear it or see it, and you can validate it. And then you both think you're crazy, but then it's kind of mind-blowing too at the same time.
Oh, it is. And it's, I have to say, sometimes, these spirits will come in and they come in really fast. Other times, and when someone's talking to you, I think that's really good. The spirit will come through. But again, you're asking for someone to come through, and there is. Sometimes you'll have a lot of people that show up. Other times, you'll sit there and it's like pulling taffy. And, you're brought up good points, right? You may be getting communication all the time, but either our minds are so busy on things that we're doing, bills we're paying, right? Our day-to-day activities that we may not see it. And I think the best time, Marla, for someone, if you want to see a loved one, it's like if you're tired, your brain is kind of quieting down, you may be zoning out. That is the time that you're actually going to see that person, because it's making it easier, I think, for the other side, right? Your defenses are down, your walls are down, your mind is kind of more in a quiet state, and it just makes that phone call easier to come through.
Yeah, because I think when we're all up and about and in a good mood and just busy, that wall goes up whether we put it up there or not. It's just there. And the only time you let down the wall really is when you relax.
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense. Now, we were talking about reincarnation for a second, but I want to get into a little bit a different sideline of that, because perhaps we don't hear from our loved ones, some of them, because they've already come back. And I know there's not like a local directory of who's there and who's here.
Right.
But when someone asks to speak to someone in particular, do you ever get the feeling that they aren't there anymore?
Well, I do get the feeling, I can't say exactly, obviously, where they are, whether they've reincarnated, but I do get the feeling that let's say they have a role they're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that means another life or whether that means that they're busy maybe watching someone, at a certain time or helping or being their guide. I can't say for sure, but I'll get that, I don't feel them like available, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like, hey, yeah, I know that they're there. You can kind of feel their energy, but it's not the same. It feels different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because as I was sitting here this afternoon, I started thinking about that, and I've never heard any medium say that they knew for a fact that they were there or not. I mean, if they weren't around, the same thing that you said, they could be off doing a million other things. But, I thought, well, maybe there's, maybe some kind of a signal or a sign that they really have come back. And I think, okay, maybe I'm crazy, but I think anybody that we've lost and loved has come back, I think we'll run into them at some place, at some point in time. I think our tribe travels together, and if we're all on the earth plane,
right,
at the same time, we can do that. You may not recognize them right away, but I just think there's something there that and I saw this really neat quote the other day, and it said, you can't always recognize someone, a kindred soul, from their looks when they come back, but you can always feel it in your soul.
Yeah, I like that. That's very true. And what about this? Now, this is really far out there. I know your listeners are going to say, oh, she's out of her mind. But one time this thought came into my mind. So when I often try to talk with someone, I'll say, well, don't think of us a vessel, right? We have a body with a soul in it, right? Mm-hmm. So when your body is gone, it's like, think of a glass vase, right? You fill it with water. And what happens when you break the vase? That water is now out, and then the water, evaporates, let's say, right? Yeah. So it's there. It's never really gone for good, that you might say. But when you think of someone coming back now, is it possible that maybe a part of the essence comes back and reincarnates and not the full essence? So there's still some part of them that is still, in the other realm?
Mm-hmm. That's food for thought.
Yeah, I mean it's a thought.
Well, it goes along with the show that I did week before on multi-universes, that we can be alive in one universe and past in another, if you believe in that kind of thing. Yeah, multiverses, it gets complicated, but it's really, really interesting. That, you could be 20 different lives in 20 different universes, but you're still the same you. But maybe you're not quite the same you. Maybe you're not alive in one universe and alive in another.
Wow.
It really is fascinating. So what you said just kind of made good sense. Strangely enough, see, you're not crazy.
Oh, well, I don't know. Ask my husband.
we don't go there. You never get the right answer you're looking for, so it's just like, okay.
He's afraid of me, so he loves me, but, someone asked him one time, like, do you ever, have her read for you, or do you ever have her? And he's like, listen, I have to live with her. I have to sleep with her, actually. He's like, I'd rather not go there.
Okay, I've got one other thing that I want to talk about really briefly.
Yeah.
Because, we talked about restless spirits a little while ago, and they need a release to move on. And one thing I keep hearing about over and over again is that grief is one of the ways that keeps spirits earthbound. Now, do you believe there's some truth to that?
I do.
Okay.
Because of all the readings I've done, and I've had many, many people that I've read for that have lost, the loved one, and I could feel it from the other side, and it feels like when their grief, not that you ever lose it, because you always love that person.
Yeah,
but when you lighten up and you're able to kind of go on with your life, I feel that change in the other side. And I think it's almost two-part, so they can hang on to each other from both sides. So a spirit cannot want to leave and hang on to the living, just like the living cannot want to let that one go. and hang on to the deceased. And it's time. It's a grief period of time. They have to grieve, and everybody's grief is an individual process, right?
Exactly.
So it's going to take time. I know someone who lost their only child, and it's been 6 years. They still haven't changed his room. He still has the clothes in the room. They have moved on to some extent, but they're comfortable in the place they're at. And who are we to say that that's wrong or right?
Yeah.
I think it's whatever they're able to live with and get through day to day.
Well, that's it. And then you feel bad. I mean, if you're one of these people that grieves really, really hard, and some do, then you feel bad that you're keeping them with you. But then on the other hand, maybe you're feeling, okay, I'm going to be selfish and keep them with us. I mean, it's such a big, confusing ball of wax out there.
It is, and I don't think there's really, one good answer, one size fits all type of thing. As I said, I think it's individual, and, you just hope someone said to me one time, grieving is kind of like being in a boat that's sinking, right? That you have turbulent waves, and you come up and get air, and, you just have to ride the waves, and some days the storms, has affected it, and the waves are higher, and other days it's a calmer sea. So it just, to me, it really talks to the soul and how much you can heal in a given time.
Yeah. And I think people that believe in an afterlife and believe that, death as we know it, is the end, ashes to ashes, you're done. But those of us who believe in life after death and the spirit never dies and everything, I think we hurt, we grieve definitely, but we don't think that it's final. We know we're going to see them again, kind of thing. And so makes it a little bit easier, I think.
It does. And you definitely are correct on that. And in fact, the individual I was talking about, they were talking about taking their own lives because that their son, for instance, was their everything. And, and after, we had our discussions, and now I talk to him and he laughs. He goes, it's your fault that I didn't do that. Because we've talked together, for years about this. And now he's actually had opportunities where he's seen his son. He gets signs from him a lot. And now he's been able to take that info and actually help others who have lost loved ones. And he shares his story. And I think that's what it's about, right? Is how better can you help to serve? In fact, I heard of there was a quote the other day myself, and it's like, what do we live for if not to make life less difficult for each other? And that was an English novelist, George Eliot.
Yes, yes.
And it's true. We're here to help each other.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I hope we helped some people tonight, but we're really running out of time quickly. So one more time, Maureen, if people want to get in touch with you for a reading or find out about the book that you guys did and all that stuff, give me the website again, please.
Okay, Maureen-wood.com. And if I could just say one quick thing.
Sure.
Just so you know, I'm very excited. Me and my girlfriend were actually Betty Lord. She's BT Lord, and she does a lot of mystery books. And her and I have teamed up, and we're writing a young adult paranormal called The Ghost Seekers. It's going to be paranormal mystery series. We're basing it on true experiences, and there's going to be, how-to topics in it and everything. So it's going to be just fun, a lot of fun.
All the more reason to check out your website.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marla. And thank you so much for having me on. I'd love to come back at another time if you'd have me.
Please do. Oh, absolutely. You've got to come back. We can't let whiskers grow any longer than we are because, we're not spring chickens anymore.
No,
so,
we're not.
Yes. We'll be back. And thank you all for listening in. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Please join us again next week at the same time for another great guest and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited. Copyright 2018. The Path of the Goblin King by Kevin MacLeod is licensed through Incompetech.com.